welcome to episode 4 of our show, The More We Get Together, Conversations That Build Bridges, or as we like to call it, the Itsy Bitsy Zoomcast.
So here with me tonight are our guest hosts. You know that Liz and I always host the Itsy Bitsy Zoomcast, but my student teachers are taking turns hosting for Series 1, because Series 1 is called Connecting Practicum Students with Their Field. So I have 2 HCC Practicum students with us tonight. I have Inga Kondratiev and I have Laura Toniati. So they're both here as our guest hosts tonight, and they're going to be conversing with our special guests. So Nikki, you're one of our guests tonight. Would you please introduce yourself and tell everybody about you?
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Nikki Burnett, and I'm the Executive Director at Educare Springfield. We are a high-quality early education and care school. We're located in Springfield on 100 Hickory Street, which is in Mason Square, which proudly, that's the neighborhood I come from. And I actually used to play on the lot where Educare now stands. So we have 141 students. All of our children are Head Start eligible, and Head Start is our partner, and they do offer our educational services and run our classrooms. I am proudly an HCC alum, class of 1991. Or 2. It was a very long time ago. I have a bachelor's degree in leadership and organizational sciences from Bay Path, and I am one class away from finishing up a master's in leadership and negotiation, also from Bay Path as well.
That's wonderful.
And so I have several community board affiliations, and I am most passionate about being a servant leader. Well, thank you for having me.
We love that you're here. Thank you. Monique, could you introduce yourself?
Hi, sorry, and I apologize if you can hear my son crying upstairs. So my name is Monique Nelson, and I am an academic counselor with the TRIO Student Support Services program at HCC, which I've been doing for about 3 years. I have a master's in educational psychology from the University of Connecticut, and I have lots of students that have children and have all the child care woes. And I'm also the mother of a 5-year-old girl and 2-year-old twin boys.
So much expertise about supporting families with us tonight. So with that in mind, Liz, could you tell us a little more about our goals with tonight's topic?
Sure. Our original question was around a very big topic, barriers for parents who need childcare, and looking at things like cost, quality, and convenience. And through a great brainstorming session with Inga and Laura, we distilled all this big topic down to 2 questions that we would love to pose to our guests tonight.
So Laura's going to ask our first question.
So the child care system was complicated before. I can't imagine what families are feeling. Nikki, from your perspective and position, what are the barriers you see that COVID is here? How have you been helping families navigate the child care system in a pandemic?
So Educare's story is it's very special, but it's very unique. We actually opened our doors on January the 2nd. Educare Springfield is the 24th Educare school in the network in the country. And we are the only one in Massachusetts. And so we opened our doors on January 2nd of this year. And like everyone else, as of March 13th, we had to close. And, everybody had to hastily do what they had to do. And so we recognized, and it became glaringly in our minds and in our faces, that there are so many children that, not being in the school, are not getting proper nutrition. The diapers, the wipes, the services, they were not getting. So, we had to, we basically emptied out the kitchen and, said, okay, come get it. We emptied out the supplies of diapers and wipes to get them in the hands of the parents. And then when we started remote learning, what we found was that so many of the families didn't have basic learning supplies. And so I went on a campaign and I got various donations and some funding, and we sent home supplies, and we are just finished putting together some enrichment boxes that are going to go home to each child, 141 children. But for the parents, right now with COVID, and we are partially open, we have very, very limited children in the building due to EEC health and safety guidelines. But the first barrier is these parents have had to make such hard decisions in the middle of a pandemic. We're talking about, as a parent, you worry about health and safety of your child anyways when they're not in your presence. But now, like, do you do that? Do you send them back? Regardless that we're doing the very best in everything we can do to go above the health and safety guidelines. So parents have to make these really, really tough decisions. And not only for us, but also throughout, what I'm learning in our statewide coalitions and also in my national work is that it's supplies are the slots available. Because a lot of the early education and childcare, they're operating at decreased hours. So do the parents have the hours that they need? Are they open early enough? Do they stay open late enough for them? Does their employer allow flexibility? Can you come in 30 minutes later so that you have time to drop off your child? Those are some of the things. Remote learning. We were all talking about, children in remote learning. I actually have a 20-year-old who's a junior in college. And so she's been home since March. But, there are times when I'm on Zoom and she comes in to start chit-chatting because she needs to vent as well. And, as we know, we see the children popping up in the back. And, those things are happening. And they're happening for our parents, especially parents that have multi-ages and multi-grades in their classroom. They're trying to juggle all of those things. While everyone was on shutdown and was so uncertain as to if we were going to be able to reopen and when, so many children that got services, mental health, disabilities, they did not get them. And so now we have parents that they're not trained and equipped to work with some of these issues, and they were not able to have the services, even speech pathology. And so now everyone had to retrain themselves to get and receive services in a virtual manner. Specifically for teachers, there is nationally, locally, the teachers we're having staffing is a huge issue. There have been so many centers that have had to close their doors because they do not have appropriate staff. And so, parents are at the mercies of all of these outlying issues that are, of course, of no fault of theirs. But, and then also, I think the biggest thing is the uncertainty. So if we have a teacher that has a health issue or a child that has a health issue and we have to close down, now the parents have to scramble because you don't get, okay, you have to close down next week. You have to close down immediately. So then it's that immediate scramble. So I can only imagine being the parent of a small child and having so much uncertainty going around every single day and that anxiety in that. So we do our very, very best to support our parents. We have amazing family service coordinators who have contact with each family 2 to 3 times a week. So we do our very best, but always understanding that there are struggles that these parents are having that, we can't fix them all, but we can support them through it.
It does sound like you guys and your center are trying to do everything you can to help these families with the barriers they are going through right now with the pandemic. Monique, do you have any thoughts or anything to say on this topic?
I just think it's wonderful that, you're doing the best you can to support parents with the understanding that it is a difficult choice. For me, I'm fortunate enough that I work from home. So while it is stressful to have my kids home with me while I'm working, I understand that other parents don't have that luxury and they have to go out there. So I think it's amazing that you're thinking about parents and the difficult choices that they have to make also.
It's interesting too that during the pandemic, the barriers that parents face in getting to work, in managing childcare, in everything that entails, how much things have been magnified since March 13th. and how much that's been brought to the attention of so many people who perhaps before this weren't even aware of these barriers and trials and tribulations that folks have.
Right. And Liz, if I can say, you brought up something that is very pressing, and in a lot of my work that I do in state and national councils, these inequities are not new. These barriers are not new. They're certainly amplified. But I guess if we can have some silver lining here, is that the spotlight on these inequities and barriers is now shining brighter, and it's staying on them. So the conversations in the work, in the advocacy, and some of the funding, but there needs to be a lot more, they're now there. There's so much opportunity for innovation, and there's a lot of innovative things that are going on, which are amazing. And so we're going to be able to come out on the other side of this better. And we're going to learn from, past mistakes. We're going to understand that you can't let these barriers ride. You have to address them, because there's going to be a time when there are things that, like now, it's not in our control. But as they say, if we don't have childcare and schools open, we can't open the economy. And so, we have, a whole industry of staff people who are vulnerable themselves, but not essential as well. They're essential. And so, our lining is that these conversations and the opportunity and innovation has a great opportunity to shine right now.
Thank you for that. It's good to know that the truth is there are some things that will change from this that are positive. So thank you.
Tag and share with your legislator.
Every morning at 9:30, I have a state advocacy call, and there's always stuff to do. So.
Yes. And Liz and we were doing some forward thinking about future topics for this Zoomcast, and one of the things we talked about was, what should we keep that we've learned from the pandemic? What things have we had to do differently that we want to keep? And I think one thing we want to keep is this spotlight on inequities and policy changes that we need so desperately. So I'm thrilled you brought that up. Yeah. Inga's going to ask our next question.
Yes. In our class, we discussed the idea that families look for three big things: basic childcare, like cost, quality, and consequences. Monique, given that you support many HCC students in Trior, as well as your personal experience as a parent with 3 young children, could you try your best to answer this question? If you come up with the magic $1 million solution to get families access to the quality childcare they need, what would you want to see happen?
Sure. I think for me, that's easy. Just from what I've been hearing from students and from my personal experience, I think the magic $1 million solution would be to have childcare on campus and have it be, high quality and affordable for students. I think, it would be a lot simpler and make life a lot easier if it was just one stop. A lot of students are taking public transportation or relying on other means to get to HCC. So if they could, have one trip and arrive at HCC and drop their kids off while they're learning and know that they're safe and happy and protected, I think that would make the world of difference. And even for me, I've been fortunate enough where, my in-laws are retired. So they've been my childcare since my daughter was 6 weeks old. So, even if I had that option of having childcare where I work, I would absolutely take that. And although I have my in-laws, on those days where if they have a doctor's appointment or they have something going on, I could not have to take the day off and drop my kids off at the childcare at work. So I think not just for students, but for employees, if money was not an issue, I think having childcare where you work would be a game changer. And, you know, I used to go to a YMCA where they had childcare, where you could see your kids while you work out. It was all glass, and it was the most amazing thing, because you could, you know, they're well taken care of, they're having fun, and you're prioritizing yourself at the same time. So I think if students could have that option to have quality childcare where they learn or work, it would make all the difference. Yeah.
Nick, is there anything you could like to add to this topic?
Yeah, so I definitely agree with cost, of course, and have equitable access as well as equitable, high quality early education and care for all children. All of the teachers are doing the very, very best they can, but especially in family child care, they can't take a day out to go and do professional development for the expense. And so that's part of what Educare does beyond the walls. We offer our professional development free of charge to family childcare and other childcare there. And also, you know, if teachers are fully supported, you know, you can have as many centers open as you want, but if you do not have the teachers that are qualified to staff it, then you still have that same issue. So teachers certainly need to be fully supported. And then also, I'll just say a little bit about cliff effect. The more people make, if they're on services, then they start to lose their services, and it puts them in a worse position. And then they are denying overtime or denying raises, because if they make more, they may lose their housing subsidy or their child care subsidy. So we really, really need to fix that as well. So that would be one of my many magic bullets that I would shoot at this problem.
Interesting, because the students had a conversation in our online space. They're all doing their practicum, but they come together in an online space for a seminar. And we were talking about, well, I had them go and talk to parents in their life and ask them, how did you select childcare? What factors were at play when you were seeking childcare? And I had them try to look at cost, quality, and convenience, and which of those were important for families. And what was amazing and not surprising for those of us that do this work was that the uniqueness of each family's situation cannot be funneled down into one simple system or a set of policies that's so constrictive. So when I think about what Monique and Nikki, what you both just shared, I think you both hit the nail on the head with there are so many unique needs, and that they need to be met, and we need to have the flexibility to meet those needs so that in the end, children and families are supported and healthy and happy, because they are our community. Yeah.
And it's a unique partnership that's necessary. We are working with the Springfield Works and the Economic Development and Springfield Business Leaders for Education to get them into this and say, listen, if your employees don't have access to childcare, or if your schedules are prohibitive to them being able to drop them off and pick them up, hey, guess what? You don't have employees. So when you are, you know, posting all these positions and no one can fill them because it does not fit with their childcare, they're listening and they're at the table with us, and you know, it's also helping us to expose more parents to work opportunities as well. So there's so much that needs to be done and that can be done. And if I can just give a little bit of silver lining again, is that, you know, in COVID and all of these things that we have to do, the work from home and all the different things, I have found that so many people are really giving so much grace to each other, which is amazing. Yeah. So, you know, Monique, you were saying, no, excuse me, if you hear my son, you know, we have to give grace. You know, that's great. That's wonderful. You're working, and, you know, your children are, you know, loud children are healthy children, is what I say, you know, for my 141 babies at Educare. It's like, keep on screaming, because I know that you're helping. So, you know, everyone is giving so much grace. But I will tell your students and any parent, you know, give yourself grace first.
Yes.
Because if you don't, then it's going to be real hard to give it to anybody else. And be patient and be nimble, and be humble, and just walk in gratitude, because this is nothing that none of us know how to do. but we're going to learn if we're going to come out of this so much stronger.
I know for Monique, when we were on campus and my office got to be right in the middle of the TRIO advisors, you all naturally taught students to give each other grace and to find support. So in what ways is TRIO still managing to do that for students, especially who are parents? I'm sure they're leaning on you maybe more than before. How are you helping them to give themselves grace when they're having to change their time management and strategies while parenting and learning and most likely working during the pandemic?
I think what we're trying to do is be flexible ourselves and, changing the times when we do things and offering things at a variety of different times where, we understand that many parents are homeschooling, doing virtual remote schooling with their kids during the, normal business hours. So we try to offer support, after 5 or early in the morning. I mean, I'm extremely flexible with my students. I get it. I tend to have to schedule things either during nap time or, after my kids are in bed. So sometimes I'm up talking to a student at 10 at night, and that works for them. And also, encouraging them to also give their faculty members grace, because faculty members also have children, and may not always be as responsive. So just understanding that we are all having our own challenges, and working with each other to just do the best we can and get through it.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Laura, you've worked with TRIO in the past. Do you mind sharing a little bit about how that support service has helped you as an education student and working in the field of early childhood?
They just taught me more of how to understand families even more, because yes, I took my perspective of how I understood families, but then during COVID, I was like, wow, how do I even be more understanding of families? And I was just like, well, I could learn from other people. And from TRIO, I really learned that you need to be as open as possible and understanding, and that everyone has their own barriers. Doesn't mean at all too that because of COVID you might be home, it doesn't mean that you have more time. It can be
Right.
even more hectic than life was before.
Yeah.
And I think I have more patience and understanding now, because I was like, okay, I remember in classes now, I'll type to a classmate and I'll be like, all right, if she doesn't get back to me or he doesn't get back to me in a couple hours, that's okay. I'm totally understandable, because I myself might be busy or just can't catch up on some things, because life does get hectic, and it has helped me a lot. Even them, like Monique said, being opened at 10 a.m. or 10 p.m. I email Sheila all the time, random hours of the day, and I'm like, hi, I have this question. And, life is hectic, but we all get through it.
I'm sure I respond to you at all kinds of strange hours too.
I think the other day I sent you an email at 11 o'clock at night, and I was like, and I realized it was really late, and I was like, oh man.
That's fine. Send them when you can, and I will respond when I can. And I think that's some beautiful understanding. And I'm thrilled that you're all here. And Inga's got the same thing going on. She's homeschooling her 4 children and doing her practicum. It's a lot to balance, and it's brought some beautiful conversations into our seminar. So I'm thrilled that we could bring it all together tonight with the perspective of Nikki from Educare Springfield and Monique serving HCC students through her role in TRIO. Inga and Laura did an amazing job formulating questions on a topic that's so huge. I mean, barriers for parents, it's massive, but you found a way to have our amazing guests share some of the things that are most meaningful. So I want to thank you, Monique and Nikki, for your time being here, but also more importantly for the work that you do for children, families, students, all the lives that you touch. I want to thank Inga and Laura for their careful work formulating tonight's conversation. A lot of work goes on in the background, and having them meet with Liz and I to carefully choose how we want to present the things that we're looking for information on. For those of you watching, there's going to be links to information about Educare Springfield and TRIO support services at HCC. If you're on YouTube, you can see those links in the show notes. If you're on Facebook, you can see those links in the comments or above in the original post on the HCC Facebook page. So please be on the lookout for our next episode because we'll be focused on how to explain the power of play. Such a big, beautiful topic. So our guests are going to be Evelyn Markham. She's the director of the Springfield College Child Development Center. And then also we'll have with us Vanessa Pashkoff. She is from the Williston Children's Center. So they'll be joining us in our next episode. So Liz, do you want to say our last thank yous and then wrap us up with our closing quote?
Yes, indeed. I just want to thank EEC, Strong Start, UMass Boston, Career Pathways, and the HCC Itsy Bitsy Zoom team for making all of this possible. And we would like to close this episode with the following quote from the wise and wonderful Mr. Fred Rogers. If you could only sense how important you are to the lives of those you meet, how important you can be to the people you may never even dream of. There is something of yourself that you leave at every meeting with another person. So thank you all and have a wonderful evening. It's been just a pleasure and an honor to meet both of you tonight. Thank you. And thank you, students, for all your hard work.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Yeah.